And tonight, it's anarchy in your America. World leaders attending the G20 summit in Pittsburgh have been greeted by violent protests. Now, police have been forced to use tear gas to disperse unruly crowds, and already well over 60 arrests have been made. At least a half a dozen people have required medical attention, and several businesses in the Steel City have been damaged. So what message are these people trying to get across? Well, let's just ask them. Joining me now from Pittsburgh are Molly Nichols and Catherine Kidd from Free the Planet. First of all, what's Free the Planet? What is that, Molly?
Oh, it's an organization at University of Pittsburgh that's out to make environmental change to help the planet.
So that's Free the Planet.
I'm actually, sorry, I'm actually just marching on my own, but with the English department, graduate students at Pitt.
All right.
University of Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Let me ask both of you, and Molly, we'll just start with you to just keep the order so everyone can get to know who you are. You know, we've had this rock throwing. We've had this vandalism. We've had police had rocks thrown at them. We had police cars damaged. We had a Boston market damaged. We've had other stores damaged, banks damaged. Are you proud to participate in a protest that has become this violent?
Yeah, so let me tell you, those protests happened yesterday. It was an unpermitted march that a group of people did. I think part of their reasoning was to try to get some media coverage. I don't know exactly why they were throwing the rocks. I wasn't participating in that. Today I participated in a march called the People's March. It was permitted, legal, completely peaceful.
Right,
thousands of people were walking down the streets of Pittsburgh.
Do you condemn the violence?
I'm not going to necessarily say I condemn it. I think the choices are made because the people really want their voices to be heard. The G20 is set up as a rather undemocratic institution where the 19 richest countries and the EU get to make decisions that affect the rest of the world. They wanted their voices at the table.
We have plenty of time to get it. We have plenty of time to get it. But you won't condemn throwing rocks at police officers, vandalizing people's stores, having, to put the police lives in jeopardy. You may not have participated in this very thing. And I'm sitting here saying you're obviously a young girl. Why wouldn't you condemn violence? Why wouldn't you condemn what is so morally wrong to attack people like this and attack property like this? Why can't you take a moral stand?
Pardon me, Sean, is it okay if I respond to that?
Sure.
Is that all right? Oh, okay. I wouldn't say that I would necessarily condemn the violence, but I would never participate in it. One of the issues that I have with the way the media has represented the violence is that really there's just been these few instances of glass shattering and rock throwing, which I think is not necessarily effective, and definitely vandalizing public property has to be paid for by, the poor taxpayers of Pittsburgh, so I would never participate in that.
Can I ask you one quick question?
Yeah.
I just think, I want to know if you condemn the violence that many countries are implementing around the world based on the wars in Iraq, Afghanistan, Pakistan, dropping bombs on sleeping children in houses. Do you condemn that violence? Our tax dollars are paying for that.
The answer is there's no moral equivalency here for a lot of different reasons. We spent a lot of time discussing the entire issue of the Iraq War. I'd be glad to discuss it with you another time, but the answer is I don't think you can make the moral equivalency. Let me ask you this, because I want people to hear your message, believe it or not. Why are you against capitalism? It seems like this is against capitalism. Why are you against capitalism?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I can tell you one of the reasons I am is because I think it puts profit as the #1 goal and not people's well-being. So right now, the way it's set up, 225 individuals, their total wealth is equal to half the population of the world's wealth.
All right, so what is your
that a legitimate
proposal?
system? I don't think so.
All right, so let's get into what your solutions are, because because I say that if you don't support capitalism, you don't support freedom. Because the only alternative is a government-run system of redistribution. Do you support government-run redistribution of wealth?
I support people-run redistribution of wealth. And one thing that we want to remember,
hang on. Wait. How do you have people-run redistribution of wealth? Because the only way you're going to get people to give up their wealth is unless you threaten to throw them in jail and coerce them through the government. So you don't have people.
I think there were 8,000. Sean, I think there are 8,000 people on the streets of Pittsburgh today that would disagree with you.
Well, how do you then how do you get people that have wealth to voluntarily give it up? Because if they don't voluntarily give it up, then the government is going to have to force them to give it up.
You tax them. There's something called, I personally think there should be limits on corporate pay. I don't understand why right now the total wealth in the U.S., every single person, if it was equally distributed, $44,000 per person. 4-person family, $200,000.
Right, so my point,
I don't see why people need.
You're living in la la land, and let me tell you why. Because you both don't.
La la land. So you're saying the system right now is working?
I'll give you your say.
You think the system's working?
I will tell you that capitalism has created wealth. Prosperity has advanced the human condition and human initiative. Here's my point.
Not for kids in the Hill District of Pittsburgh.
You don't support
freedom. Not for kids in Perry Hilltop in Pittsburgh.
You don't support freedom. You don't support freedom of choice.
Communities in this city who have been ravaged by capitalism and the crash of the steel industries in the 1980s. You know, when we sent the steel industries overseas because we could get the labor for cheaper.
I gotta understand.
Sean, let me ask you another question. Do you think it's cool that we have our taxes pay to have fire, police? They protect us. When my house is on fire, I know that it will be taken care of. But what about when I want to go to the doctor? What is it now that in a capitalist system, these health insurance companies compete with each other? 1/3 of the money goes toward marketing, advertising, making sure people aren't getting covered by health.
Let me explain to you. I'm going to answer your question. I'm going to answer your question. Here's what you don't know. The top 1% of these evil rich people who you want to empower the government to take their money from, they already pay the vast majority of the taxes. The bottom 50, 60% of the population, they pay less than 3% of the federal tax bill. So we have redistribution of the wealth. So I turn this into a question on you. How much of people's wealth do you want to empower the government to take? How much? Should they take 80%?
Sean, tell me why somebody needs to make, all right, I'll give you this much. Tell me why someone ever would need to make more than $500,000 a year.
Tell me why it's any of your business. Tell me why it's any of your business. If somebody works really hard, is really creative, and they create goods and services that people want, need, desire, and are willing to buy, who are you, except you support this government force and confiscation, who are you to tell them that they can't make that much money?
Hannity, I come from, or Sean, excuse me. I come from a working class background. And okay, thanks. I come from a working class background. I'm lucky to be where I am in a PhD department studying. And I will say that my grandparents, my parents, my aunts and uncles have worked all of their lives, their fingers to the bone. You know, cuts all over their hands, stars, missing,
can I tell you something?
You know, toes and limbs. They're creative, they're hardworking, and they make maybe $10,000 a year. They have no savings because they have to pay for health care.
All right, but can I tell you something?
Come on.
You are describing
that's unjust.
Let me just explain something. That's my family. That's my grandparents. That's my father who grew up poor. That's Sean Hannity who started out his life without a dime. I had to drop out of school 3 times. The only difference between my philosophy and yours is that for whatever reason, you guys don't believe in freedom and you want to empower your government to confiscate the hard work of other people because you believe it's the morally just thing to do. So you are really the ones that believe in a big government tyranny against people.
Then why are we exercising our First Amendment right today? And if we want to empower our government to take over, then why are we protesting it today?
But you should be ashamed.
It sounds like you and I have a lot in common.
It sounds like you should be ashamed of your fellow protesters that are violent, but I appreciate the fact that you came on the program. Thank you for being here. And I have no doubt, ladies and gentlemen, that Nancy Pelosi will be condemning them, just as they did the town hallers and just as they did the people that marched on Washington any minute now.